Hi, I'm Naadia and today I'm with Miss Nutton, my art teacher or the art teacher. And we're going to be doing an overview for what you should be expecting in Year 10 and Year 11 for GCSEs.
So in the first few weeks we obviously explain the exam board, so it depends on what exam board you're doing. Here we do AQA, so we explain the assessment objectives and the criteria. We really get them to know and sort of understand the terminology that's used. It's really important that I exaggerate in my lessons that they're consistent at all times, because if you're not consistent you can't even get any higher than a 5 or a 6. If your work is, there's gaps going on, then there's no chance of getting any higher than that. So we just get them used to that at first. It depends if in Year 9 they did a taster project or not, but once they're in Year 10 we just go over the basics like portraiture, painting, like mixing, blending and so on. So just really go back to basics like the 7 formal elements of art as well, just to check that they understand that. Like I said, go over sort of key terms and get them used to being able to write, like annotate properly as well, rather than just writing. I like it because it's colourful and unique. That makes me want to scream. Yeah.
It's bold, it's organic.
Organic's good, no, that's a good word. So you've got to use stuff like that rather than be like it's vibrant. So rather than just saying it's colourful and unique, because unique's so vague. Don't be basic when you're writing your annotations. So we get them used to that at first in the first few weeks, and then once we've done that for maybe like 4 weeks, after that probably move on into the actual projects.
Is there any, when you start the subject like Year 9 to Year 10, is there anything you really need? Because I don't remember having to give anything in to do art in Year 10, it was just an option that I was allowed to do. But do they have to get something ready in order to do it?
Well, like a portfolio or something?
Yeah, like a mini sketchbook or collection of what they've done from Year 7 to Year 9.
They don't have to get anything together. I mean, no one's going to turn around and say, no, you can't do art, because that's not what art's about. But it is good to practice over some of with my classes, I've given them the mini sketchbooks before and just told them to, really practice like observational drawings, get used to it. It really speeds up your drawing process as well. So if you can do things like that, just set yourself maybe a little summer project, maybe practice toning, anything that you feel as an artist you need to work on. As I think everyone's aware that there's always that little something that they think they could improve on.
What type of testing and assessments take place during this GCSE?
So during GCSEs, like I said, we follow the exam board criteria. So exams are usually like a mock exam. So it would be as close to a real art exam as possible. So it might be just in your lesson time. Sometimes, depending on the school, they will give you maybe a whole day in art. Because for a real exam for GCSE, you're given 10 hours, which is split across 2 days. And you sit in silence, you just do your practical work that you've prepared for beforehand as well. And you can't ask your teacher for help, you can't ask for anyone for help, there's no speaking whatsoever. You can ask for equipment and things like that, but you're not allowed to ask for any sort of advice and so on. That's why it's really important, and it's so good that you can prepare and ask your teacher everything before you actually sit that exam. So really make use of that opportunity. But for the assessments throughout the year, it's just maybe like a mini version of that. So maybe it's 2 hours of practical work but in silence with no assistance, and again then we assess it against the 4 assessment objectives.
In terms of homework, is it like just finishing off pieces of work, or is it like more than just
It's a bit more than that as well. So it might be research, it might be go research an artist, or go find your own artist, because I often will suggest some for you, but that might not be your cup of tea, you might not like it. So I'm always happy for people to go off and find their own, and it's quite good that way as well, because if I gave everyone the same artist, then all the work's going to end up looking very similar. And obviously the moderators, when they come in, so obviously we mark it as your teachers, but we've got to be checked that we're marking accurately as well. So someone externally will come in that has no link to the students, doesn't really care about you as a person like we do obviously, and they're just going to mark it as it is. And if every work looks the same, they're probably going to switch off a bit more, and it doesn't show that you've necessarily produced your own ideas. It looks like the teacher spoon-fed you. So it's better for you to go off and find your own sometimes. So homework will be maybe research, it might be go to a museum or a gallery, or go take your own photographs of whatever the theme is and so on like that.
Oh, so it's not set artists anymore. Like before, it was like everyone does this artist from the 3 or.
What I do in year 10 is I do guide you a little bit more. So I might give you, I might tell you to look at one at first, or I might give you an option of several. But if there's someone that's maybe a higher ability as well, that's maybe looking at wanting to get a 9 or 8, they could just go off and get their own. I'm always open. It depends on your teacher, but there's nowhere that says you have all got to do the same artist.
Oh, okay.
It's quite open to interpretation, basically.
What do you think students should do that would help them with the subject? Obviously practice drawing, but is there like anything specific that they should do?
I think just keep on top of the work. Like I said, you need to be consistent and don't skip work as well. The amount of people that will start a piece and then jump to another one and then jump to another one and jump to another one, and then they've got 3 or 4 incomplete pieces of work. You aren't ticking the boxes of being consistent. And like I said, you need to be consistent to be confident, and you need to be confident to be like excelling. So those are you look at those keywords and it will help you, because if you're not consistent, you can't get any higher than you need. So just make sure you're staying on top of the work, you're completing the work. You know, if it is, you don't necessarily have to do, say you're going to do an artist copy. No one's expecting you to produce, you know, the entire of the Sistine Chapel, but you might just want to take a little selection of like the fingers touching, that sort of thing. Like you might want to do a focus study, and that'd be a lot, maybe better use of your time. So also time management as well. So it's good to get used to meeting deadlines, using your time wisely. Like I said, practicing obviously, and doing things at home like that you can do at home. So for example, if you're doing clay or painting or something that you don't have materials for at home, then do the practical work in lesson time, and then at home do like the research and the annotations. You don't need to sit in lesson writing off looking at a computer, because you can do that anywhere.
Is the first term very different to the rest of the year?
And it's not necessarily very different, because we're trying to get you used to what it's going to be like. It's probably a little bit more structured and a bit more, like I said, a bit more spoon-fed. We're probably going to really sort of look after you in those first few weeks. Wait, this is this and this is that, and this week we're going to learn about this, and then we're going to move on. But once you've got that confidence and that background knowledge, then you have that little bit more freedom. The further along you get, the more freedom, again, depending on the teacher, but the more freedom you will probably get. So that's the only way. It follows the same system, but it's a bit more looser for you to work with.
For the half term, do you think it's a time of rest, or to do extra research or extra work? Or
I mean,
for GCSE?
For GCSE, I think for any level of it though, I think there's always room for improvement. You know, you might, unless you genuinely look at your piece of work and think, that's a 9, I'm done, that's amazing, there's nothing I can improve on that. There's no, you know, gaps in your book, there's no inconsistencies. Sometimes AO2, like I said, the assessment objective for experimentations and so on, part of that assessment objective is to show that you can refine your work as well. So I've had like my higher level GCSE students have gone back over and redone a piece sometimes, and they've put both of them in and showed that they went back and improved it, and they get higher marks then for AO2 for doing that. So you might think, yeah, I'm up to date, I've done everything brilliant, but if you went back through that book, because at the beginning of year 10, you might think that's brilliant, but maybe a few months down the line, you might be like, oh, I've actually really improved my skills since, which a lot is genuinely the case.
Like I couldn't draw in year 10.
Yeah, if you think, I had girls that obviously came to me from year 9, and they, you know, like they were not naturally as maybe strong at maybe doing portraits, but once they really worked on it, they actually went back over it, and they were like, oh my gosh, like my level and the quality is so much higher, and so they would go back over and maybe improve stuff as well. My art teacher at school, I always remember, said you should be spending about 5 hours outside of your lesson time, which is a lot of time, but if you break that up over the week, I mean 5 hours is quite a bit, but here we do a booster session after school, so make sure you attend the booster session because it's there for you to use. So you've got maybe usually about 3 periods of art a week, then you might have an hour after school with me, with your teacher, and then so that's only 1 hour extra. Then that's like maybe you do a couple of hours on a Saturday or a Sunday when you're just start chilling while you do watch Netflix or listen to music, but you can literally just do your work. It might take you longer if you're not fully concentrating, but you can. It's a nicer break, I think, sometimes from sitting and revising from a book all the time or trying to do some sort of formulas. It is a bit more of a break. It's still work, but it's more enjoyable work. So I would say make sure you're putting that extra time in outside of school lesson time, because there isn't physically enough time in a lesson to do everything that you need to do.
That concludes all my questions for now. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.